I owe two very important people in this hobby an apology. And I owe one person, also very important in this hobby, a thank you. And I'm going to start there before I do anything else in this bonus episode. First, Maria and Richard Habring run one of the smallest workshops I love most in this entire hobby. And in a recent episode, the episode right before this one, and even though it's season 2, episode 2 for them, and season 2, which I think is going to be episode 24 for this episode because it's sort of my structuring is wrong. Told you I sucked at this. I got some of their stuff wrong and I left out some stuff. And this is strange because I have my notes and folks who do this kind of on a regular basis. And even when I lecture for university students, I have my lecture notes, I practice and all that stuff. And again, doing this for like 20 years. And I will, in my head, think I've said something and then go back and realize after I've listened to it, oh my gosh, I left that whole section out. Or I get wonderful listeners like Brandon who run wonderful outfits that one, I want to say thank you to Brandon before I even go any further. He's not just like your average neighbor named Brandon. Brandon is a pretty legit dude in the independent watch space, and he runs a website called Horology by the Sea. And he actually runs the company Horology by the Sea. And if you haven't seen them or been to their website or been in Encinitas to go check out their stuff, you should. I am bummed because I grew up in Escondido. And so I was actually just stone's throws away, if you had a really good arm, I guess, to Encinitas. And we used to surf out there, which is pretty cool. So he runs Horology by the Sea. And he was kind enough to fill me in with some of the stuff that I missed. And so, again, he has a much closer relationship to Maria and Richard. And so this is me making it right out loud because the corrections, oh my goodness, they are more beautiful than what I said in the first episode. So first, the name. You've seen it written as Habring with the little 2, the superscript 2, floating up there in the corner like a math exponent, right? It's not something a marketing team dreamed up. They call themselves 2 because there are 2 of them, Maria and Richard. That is, the whole company. And by the way, Maria also works at the bench. On my notes, just didn't include it. So Maria, I am sorry about that. And they have additional a watchmaker on staff, and I can kind of get into them some other time. But Brandon Brandon warned me with love, of course, that if you drop the 2 and just call it Habring around Maria, you, meaning me, may not make it out of the room in one piece. And that makes me admire Maria even more because it sounds like Richard is married to the same person that I am. So let me make it clear, it is 2 of them or it's nothing. Second, and this is the part that got me, Richard is the one who insists the company always be written as Maria and Richard Habring, her name first, not his. Not initials like every single time. Like, so sit with that for a second. The man who developed one of the most respected complications of his generation, of our generation, makes sure his wife's name leads the masthead. That tells you almost everything you need to know about these 2. And it makes me I thought I was in the rabbit hole before, and now I'm just a full-blown, I'm like a super fan now, which is, I'm giddy, okay? And they also, this is one thing about location that I did just straight up get wrong. They moved their workshop to a place called Styria. It's Styria. And the reason is really quite human. They went to where they could find and grow people who actually want to sit at the bench and learn this craft. For a maker this small, that's not a footnote, and I should have had it in the first episode. Like, the whole future is like the next pair of hands that you teach, and it's something that I've been planning on talking about in upcoming episodes, and I'm stoked, beyond stoked that they're doing that. And here's the piece that I most regret, okay? I didn't know this, and it was nice to be able to get this filled into me. And this is probably a nugget that maybe even the deepest Habring owners don't know. So Richard, we know, developed the split seconds mechanism, the Rattrapant, that made his name, of course, including the module he built for a very large Swiss house, okay? Now, a major publication, I will not name the publication, they chased him down, and they have chased him down over and over about doing this collaboration, right? And some of these, we'll say media outlets. How's that? A major publication has chased him down again over and over to do a very special edition, kind of trading on that old glory. And Richard basically said, that is the past. Bring me a new challenge and let's chase that instead. And this is crazy because he basically is saying, let's not sell yesterday. Let's sell tomorrow. And spoken, I think, like a true innovator and someone who has, once you've accomplished something and done something, it's sort of like, I guess he doesn't want to get up there on stage and sing the same songs over and over, right? He wants to reinvent and push. And so that's, for me, is amazing. And the idea that he wants to talk about tomorrow is wonderful. So I want to include that. There is one watchmaker in that shop responsible for the Rochepont now. And Richard will tell you he wants people at the bench who stay humble and hungry, who do not walk in certain, like the idea that they already know everything. And that is a full-blown philosophy, and it's not a slogan. So Maria, Richard, Brandon, and then all of the people on the team at Habring that I did not mention, one, thank you. Thank you so much. I am sorry I shortchanged you the first time. Consider this my correction and also apology, and then also just general admiration. And consider it the doorway into today, because the way that we treat people who buy watches and the way that these folks treat people that buy their watches is literally the exact opposite of what I want to talk about today. I want to get into something a little bit crazy. And this is going to be strange because this intro is going to have two intros. So let's get into it. Hey, this is What's on Your Wrist Day. I'm Wachowski. Today we're talking about the velvet rope. So thank you for listening to the kind of intro, apology, thank you part at the front. Now this is the real introduction for this episode, and I will do something a little strange because it will have kind of two breaks, which is fine. You know, there's no who's gonna punish us, right? So I'm gonna talk about this thing. I'm gonna call it the velvet rope, okay? The waiting list, the purchase history, the strange, very human machine that gets people to spend, no joke, hundreds of thousands of dollars on things that they don't even want, just to earn them the right to buy the thing that they do want, which is ironic that that thing that they want to buy is far less sometimes than what they're actually that they're spending to get to, which is crazy. So I'm going to get into this thing called the velvet rope. Okay, segment one. I want to start with a song in segment one because a song got me thinking about all of this stuff. And folks know that I have sort of that I don't even know how to explain the illness of sort of thinking about things in music, right? And the drum set in my house and the guitars would sort of prove that that fallibility of mine. There's a line in an old Taking Back Sunday song, the one called "You're So Last Summer" from I think 2002, and I'm not going to sing it for you. At the beginning of some of these things I actually have sang in some of the songs, and I think it's season 2 at the end or at season 3 at the beginning. I have one planned where I actually do a little bit more vocals for my son on one of those songs. So just a heads up when that's embarrassing, that was just for him. Because someday I'm going to be gone and he might be able to listen to this thing. You never know. And so again, I'm not going to sing it for you. I guess for the safety of everyone listening, especially without me auto-tuning and all of that kind of stuff and playing with those things. But the idea of the line is basically this. The singer has gone far, like so far for someone who treats him badly that he pictures his own worst moment, okay? And even then, his instinct is to say, sorry. Sorry for the mess. Sorry for the trouble. Sorry to have been a bother. And like on and on and on, all the way down, like to the point where the lyrics, this is not going to be exactly the lyrics just for copyright and all that kind of stuff. But the idea of you could slit my throat and with my one last gasping breath, I'd apologize for bleeding on your shirt. Something along those lines, which is pretty gruesome, right? And here's the part you should know about that song. The man who wrote it, his name's John Nolan, he meant it to be funny at the beginning. It was supposed to be like over the top, ridiculous, right? A joke about how ridiculous this kind of devotion is to a person or a thing. And then a whole lot of people, like everybody that listened to it in early 2000s, we read it and listened to it completely straight. And we thought it was like the most romantic thing that we'd ever heard of in like our teen years, right? When we're listening to like pop punk emo, right? And this dude, poor John, he spent years with like mixed feelings about how people had interpreted his music, right? And specifically those lyrics. And I can't think of a better description of how we behave, I guess, around scarce luxury goods. We like literally line up to apologize for bleeding on the shirt of a brand that would happily let us bleed. And half of the time, the brand is a little surprised we took the whole thing so seriously. Let's get into segment 2. I'm going to call this my paying for the privilege section. Like let us walk through this machine a little bit, okay? Because once you see it, I don't think you can unsee it. I'm going to start with cars, okay? In a different life of mine, there are some connections that I have with some folks that are very successful. And so I'm going to start with cars here. If you want one of the truly special Ferraris, for example, like a hypercar, the limited series pieces, you don't just walk in and buy it. Like you earn an allocation. Does this sound familiar to you? And you earn it by buying the cars they can already sell to like anyone. You go to their events, you become known to them, and then you become loyal, as in a loyal client for years, sometimes decades. Now, people buy cars they feel kind of like lukewarm about, I guess the word is I'll say. So they will purchase vehicles that they're lukewarm about. How's that? And they buy them on purpose so that one day they might be offered the car they actually dream about. Like the lukewarm cars are the cover charge to get in to hopefully be allocated the opportunity to spend another couple $100,000 or $1 million on a vehicle, right? Now, watches. Walk into an authorized dealer and ask for a steel sports luxury watch, Rolex, Patek Philippe, right? Look at the Nautilus or an Aquanaut. And in a lot of places, you will hear about your quote, purchase history, meaning what else have you bought here? Have you taken the pieces, sitting in the case that nobody is waiting for? Have you bought the jewelry, the everyday models? Build up enough of that, and maybe one day you get the call. So people buy watches they don't want, they buy jewelry they don't want or need, and their goal is to earn a shot to get the watch that they actually do. So, and again, it's not just cars and watches. Look, ask for a Hermes Birkin bag, and you may find you simply cannot buy one. You need to build a relationship first. You buy the scarves and the shoes and the homeware and you spend and you spend, and then perhaps you are offered the bag. It's the same machine. There is a credit card so exclusive that you cannot even apply for it. Look, this credit card, you have to be invited after spending an enormous amount on a lesser card. There are private clubs whose whole appeal is that most people who apply don't get in. And the ones who do get to feel kind of like chosen, okay? Now, look, I work at the university level, right? There are universities that cost a fortune, turn almost everyone away, and then turn that rejection into the very thing that makes a seat at them so badly wanted. There is, I would say, a rope, right? Of course, there's a physical rope outside of a club, and there's a man with a list and the bottle that you have to buy. And it's not because you want the bottle, but because the bottle is the price of the table. And again, different products, same trick. Restrict the thing, make people prove themselves, and watch the wanting climb. Now, segment 3, I want to get into why this actually works on us. Again, I told you at the university level, I work with a lot of people, a lot of very intelligent people. And you ask them, why does this work? Why does it work on me? Look, I'm aware of it and it works on me, right? Because it's aimed at some very old wiring in our brains. First, the first piece is super simple. We use rarity as a shortcut for value. If a thing is hard to get, our gut says it must be worth getting. Like a researcher, his name was Robert Cialdini, and it's Cialdini. He spent a career documenting this. Scarce, the word scarce or the term or the feeling of it, it reads as precious before we have thought about it at all. And this is why it works on stainless steel models of watches. It's not necessarily that the watch itself is precious, it's the scarcity that's precious. And then the second piece is that we hate being told we're not allowed to have something. You can't have it. Talk to your kids, right? I told you I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and you tell them they can't have something, right? Psychologists call this reactance. Like the moment a door closes to us, the room behind it becomes the only room that we want. Restriction does not cool desire. Restriction pours fuel on desire. Like the whole third thing that I'm going to talk about now, and this is kind of like the sneaky one, and I would say it's the heat of this whole thing. The more you have to suffer to get in, the more you value what's on the other side. There is a famous old study where people went through either an easy initiation or an embarrassing, difficult one to join any type of a group, right? And the group was the same dull group either way, but the people who suffered to get in rated it far more wonderful. Look, we do not decide something is worth the pain because it's good. We decide it must be good because we went through the pain. How insane is that? And our brain looks at everything we spent and we endured, and we refuse to believe all of it was for something ordinary. Now, how insane is that? Does this seem like you kind of know what I'm talking about now in regard to your watches? I would say this entire system upgrades the prize to justify the price. And I'm going to add a few more on top because you know how my brain works. We take our cues from other people. So a crowd wanting a thing makes us want it too. We fear loss more than we enjoy gain. So the thought of missing like one allocation, one call, the one drop, right? Even if it's a micro brand or smaller brand, right? And they have this limited drop and the window's open and then it's closed, right? That lands harder than the actual joy of owning it, right? The idea of hunting and getting it, right? That excitement, that puts people through the roof. But then when they actually get it, they're not as excited. And the object, I guess, stops being an object. It becomes a badge. And that says that you got past the rope and that you were chosen, right? Oh, did you get the watch on the gray market? Or, oh, you have you have a relationship, your name is on the paperwork, right? Like the whole thing, right? So you put this all together. You get a person happily spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on things they shrug at, grateful the entire time for this, and then apologizing for bleeding on the shirts of the people who are cutting them. Now, segment 4, I want to get into the brands that don't make you bleed, okay? I promise you honesty here. Now, I want to turn the ship a little bit because I do not want this to be a bitter episode. I'm not a bitter person. I'm a pretty happy dude, right? I want this to be a hopeful one. So if you're kind of drawn to the big established houses, and there is nothing wrong with that at all, let me tell you which ones I find the easiest to love, okay? The ones that will simply sell you a watch, okay? You walk up to Omega and you ask for a Speedmaster, the watch that went on the moon, you can buy a Speedmaster. Like no purchase history, no audition. They even make a version with a partner that you could get for a couple $100 for a fun little scramble, right? And yes, there were lines at the beginning, but the point of that was to let more people in, not fewer. And that is a brand I would say facing outward, right? Blancpain, similar in the Swatch Group, will sell you a 50 Fathoms, one of the original dive watches, the ancestor to the whole genre, basically. And they will do it because you want one, not because you passed the test. Oris, for example, a proudly independent house in Switzerland, builds genuinely interesting watches at like prices real people can actually pay with ridiculous power reserves as well. And they'd be delighted to sell you one today. Grand Seiko will hand you some of the best finishing in the world with no velvet rope in sight. And Tudor will sell you, I would say, a superb dive watch with, straight across the counter, no issues. And so none of these are small brands, of course, and I left out a ton of them, so don't go come after me with that. I only have so much time. And some of them I would say are enormous, but they've made a choice to treat you like a welcome customer instead of an applicant. And I think that is deeply admirable. Now, when a big brand refuses to play the gatekeeping game, that is a brand betting that the watch itself is enough. And usually I think it is. Now, of course, people are going to put an asterisk next to Tudor, right, because of the Rolex connection and all that kind of stuff. But I think at this point, I think folks are starting to kind of see that Tudor is sort of becoming its own kind of entity. Now, segment 5, I want to get into the bench that wants to know you, okay? If the big houses that stay open to you are easy to love, right? The independents are the ones that I would say I adore. And now we're going to go all the way back to Maria and Richard, right? Here is the distinction I want to leave you with. There are two kinds of scarcity, and they could not be more different. One is manufactured. A brand can make plenty of a thing, right? You just let the machines run longer. Right? And these brands, they choose to make you and me beg for it, because the begging is the business. That scarcity comes with a little humiliation baked in, and the humiliation is the point. It keeps you grateful. The other kind, though, is real. A person can make or only make so many watches with their own two hands in a lifetime. So when Maria and Richard, or a maker like them, tell you the wait is long, that is not a velvet rope, it's arithmetic. There are a handful of them. There is only one watchmaker on the split seconds. The days are only so long. The scarcity is not a strategy with these brands. It is honest limitations of how human hands can do careful work. So when you go and you get in line to go buy a Habring or a Dornbluth or a watch from Torsti Leina, or even if you're going to some of the bigger houses like Beauvais and that kind of stuff, right? There's a wait list, and it's not because you are second class to them. It's because there are other people who have been in the queue and they're getting their watches first. Similar to Chopek, you order a watch and you are now on the list, and they work through their list. No one jumps the line. Similar to Habring, you make your order and then your order is in that book, and now they're working their way down the list of the watches that they're making. And here's the beautiful part. That kind of maker does not want to gatekeep you. They want to know you. Like the small independents I love will not just build you a watch and cash your check and move along to the next customer. They actually want is a relationship with you as an owner. Like they will remember what you ordered and why. And they will email, or they'll answer their emails typically themselves. And when something needs service, that person who made it may very well be the same person who opens that watch back up. When you buy from a maker like that, you are not passing an audition. You are being let in, and you're being brought into a family. Completely different scenarios. So let's compare these two doors, okay? Behind one, a brand that could make 1,000 more of whatever they're making tomorrow, making you prove you are worthy to have one of these things, letting you apologize for the privilege of handing over your money. Behind the other door are two people in Styria, right? Or Kalba. And they put their names on the dial. And they turn down easy money selling their own past. And they want the next watch to go to somebody that they can actually talk to. One door wants your submission, the other door wants your friendship. I know which one I'm going to be knocking on. And I know which door I'm going to be knocking on for the rest of my life. So let me close this out. The next time you feel that kind of pull, the one that says, spend more, prove more, wait longer, be worthier, stop, and asks this whole who's going to benefit this and the longing of it, if the answer is a company that could satisfy you tomorrow and chooses not to, you're being played. And gently, you are allowed to walk away. I don't think anybody ever has given you that permission before, but I'm giving you permission. You can walk away. And the next time a maker just wants to build you something good and wants to learn your name while they're doing it and asks if you want any customizations on that watch, understand what a rare and also generous thing that thing actually is. It is the real limited edition. A person who wants to make one for you. Maria, Richard, Brandon, thank you again for not only the bookends of this episode, but just in general for the work, the fact that you are in this space. It's admirable. And so I would say to everyone else, go find makers that are willing to open doors for you. I'm Wachowski. Wear something good.
It's a door. I bought 3, I didn't want just to earn the one more. I learned to love the waiting more than the thing it was for. And I swept up all my The case stays locked and the glass stays clean, and they let me press my face to the sheen. Say maybe next season if I'm good, if I spend, if I prove that I'm worthy of the right to attend. So thank you for the rope, thank you for the line, thank you for the privilege of pretending you're mine. You could take the shirt clean off my back and I'd say sorry for the blood. So sorry, so kind, and I'm grateful, God. I'm grateful. It was never the watch, it was passing the test. The higher the wall, the more holy the room. I dressed up my aching and called it invest, and I swore all the cost was the proof it would bloom. Cause rare feels like right and a no feels like fire, and the man with the key knows just how to rewire everyone in my chest. Till I'm begging to pay for the door, for the rope, for the right to obey. So thank you for the rope, thank you for the line, thank you for the privilege of pretending you're mine. You could take the shirt clean off my back and I'd say sorry for the blood. So sorry, so kind, and I'm grateful, God. I'm grateful. But there's a door down the road with the latch hanging loose, where a two-person bench only